I want to just talk about, I want to end off the day going over a few of the special edition commodities and talking about where they come from, right? So these are at least what they're references to. So if you open up your market, why aren't you moving? There we go. And you go down here to special edition assets, special edition commodities. There's a huge list of things. Now, most of these were given out either on an anniversary or drop in event sites or given away on Christmas. Hold on. And often the ones that are given away at Christmas are just given away. They're references to things, but they don't actually talk about what it's a reference to. So you either know or you don't. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to at least start our journey going through the different commodities, special edition commodities, and exploring where they come from or what they're meant to mean. What's up, sick PPP? Now we wait as my computer locks up. There we go. Okay, so obviously the Bitwave, all that stuff, these cases are just from, holidays or whatever. The Subvertive JVN, this is for those drones. It was part of an event. Sneaks in a classic is, honestly, I don't actually know that one. Comic series related to New Eden from YC110 onward. So YC110 is 2008. Elite Circles of the Comet was regarded. Yeah, I would have to look into exactly that one, and I don't remember. So we're just going to move on. Either way, so CNS Karisha Final Broadcast Fragment. This here is important because this is the last recorded message of Tibus Heth. This was the ship that Tibus Heth escaped in. The Karisha, whatever. And they found this ship, and all of its crew was gone, and there was laser scorch marks. So if you combine that with this information here, the fact that they're boarded, the fact that it looks like their power systems become infected, and then their capacitor gets brought offline, tells us that it's more likely than not that the Blood Raiders are the one, this confirms that the Blood Raiders were the ones that did this attack. Now, what that means for where Tibus Heth is, if he's really dead or anything like that, unknown. This is the last we saw about him. 300 billion is contract copy. This documentation contract signing over a Chimeras class frigate and an Imp class frigate. The counter value section, it reads one friendship. I don't actually know the the trade that this is a reference to, but obviously those two ships are priceless AT ships.
And the cost was a friendship, so someone stole them.
That's possible. That could be what it means, I guess. The big red button. So CCP Tuxford, at one point, back in the day, he was developing and working on the dev server, or at least he thought he was. And so he rebooted the server, and it turns out that he was controlling the live server, not the test server. And so suddenly the test server, or the live server, tells everybody that it's shutting down in like 15 seconds. And then it goes down. And everybody's like, what the hell? And Tuxford came on the forums and apologized and all that stuff. But it's just a fun little thing. So this is the big red button that he hit to turn off TQ. Handful of Tiny Stars is a piece of another piece. You get the monolith, and if you refine the monolith, it turns into the handful of tiny stars. Letter of complaint. Formal letter of complaint is addressed by a capsuleer by the name of Grath Telkin, and is written by an unidentified but clearly irate gentleman who appears to have lost a Chimera-class carrier in the region of Pureblind. From my understanding, this is about a story about a guy who got out of their carrier to be able to go into something. They went into station by and left their carrier outside, and it was stolen, or rather, at least people were shocked about the fact that there was just this carrier left outside. A piece of Steve. Steve was the very first avatar that was ever built. It was the first Titan that was ever built. It was built by Ascendant Frontier, and it was destroyed shortly after.
Like a good Titan should be.
A pile of logs. The logs show nothing. A stolen voting pebble. This is one of the pebbles used in the final vote, sanctioning the adoption of the Hope for All Act at the end of the Kainoki inquest of YC 119. So a lot of people that aren't that are newer to EVE within the last couple of years that have never seen a fan fest. Fan fests are often pretty cool affairs, but this was one of the this was the year that they went all in on like the role play side of things. They hired a whole team, like a whole nother company, to help them turn the fan fest into an event. And what it was like the Kainoke disease, which is in the lore, kind of broke out. And so the pretense of the entire FanFest was the symposium of people trying to, research and discover the cure for this. And in the end, they had to vote to see whether or not they would release the cure to everybody or whether or not they would hold it for one reason or another. They opted to hope for all. Give it to everybody. A tank of honor. Honor tanking. Honor tanking is a reference to people that tank with their hull tank. Agency support drop is just a whatever. Airlock slammer display. We're going to see all of the different displays. These are in the Icelandic tradition. There are the things called the Yule Lads, which are like these. They're the daughter. They're the children of this witch, and they play pranks around Christmas time. But if you appease them, they leave little treats or presents. So it's the Icelandic version of like their Christmas traditions. This is where like the 12 days of Christmas comes from their tradition. And these are, like this would be Door Slammer would be the name of this Yule Lad. Alisaki's Good Posting Guide. I don't remember the exact specifics about Alisaki, but I think that was they were one of the people on the forums that would often identify what they believed to be a good post. Or maybe they did make a literal guide. I don't know. Amar religious masks. Masks have an important role in Amar society due to their association with God's angelic servants, the seraphim, who wore them so that the people of the Amar would not be struck dead by their great beauty. Plain silver and gold seraphim masks are commonly used by the Amar religious ceremonies to invoke God. Donning a seraphim mask symbolizes the priest's role as an agent of God, investigating them with the power and authority to perform their religious duties. This is like, while Eve does come off as very high sci-fi, there is some things in Eve's history in particular that are relatively unexplained. They could be explained. They might be explained by more practical reasons. But there are, in both the Mimitar and Amar history, cases of angelic-like beings showing up and doing things. I have theorized that they are, in fact, the Adheduani, which I discuss in my tinfoil conspiracy grand theory of everything video, which you can find on my YouTube. Anyway, outside the ritual, masks are used as a form of Amarian heraldry. These masks decorated with specific colors and iconography according to a strict set of rules, represent Amarian noble houses, and are frequently worn at high social affairs. Perhaps most in keeping with their original references in scripture, though, Amarian masks are sometimes used to hide great beauty and disfigurement in places where it might cause agitation. Some have also noted that the masks feature extensively in the rites of extremist cults, such as the Sani Sabak and the Equilibrium of Mankind, and a number of designs are listed as heretical in the Theology Council's monumental, multi-volume, and highly restrictive Codex of Forbidden Iconography and Symbols. Isn't Honor Tank no tank? No. Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Honor tanking is no tank. Hull tank is real men hull tank. We'll see that eventually, but now I want to specify this commodity first. Hull tanking elite, real men hull tank. That's right. Thank you for that correction. Animal medical expert, sure. The TES Seraph was the avatar that Jamil was flying when the Drifters assassinated her. Assassination contract Muriel. So one of the, in the very, 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 very early days of EVE, a group called Geidenhead Social Club was hired to tear apart a different corporation. And the Guiding Hand Social Club guys infiltrated the Alliance. And when the time was right, and they, like over a year, they gained trust within the Alliance until they had enough key positions that they pulled the trigger. Destroyed the Alliance, got all of its value, managed to catch the CEO, Muriel, out in space and kill him. And this was like one of the biggest, like this was the big first betrayal. And it was petitioned to CCP like, hey, this isn't like, you know, these guys just screwed us over, right? Like fix it. And, you know, this happens in other games, you know, in WoW, if your guild bank gets robbed, a lot of times people will petition it. And often the person that stole it will get punished and the stuff will get put back. Well, in this case, CCP looked at the situation and they said, well, none of the rules were broken. You trusted them with everything that they did was with tools that you trusted them with. And therefore, there's nothing we can do about it. And that decision set the course for how EVE was going to work going on, right? That is what established that EVE was a cutthroat game, that those protections don't exist, that trust is powerful, but betrayal is a mechanic of the game. Which is, of course, it's become one of the things that's most known for. Badly corrupted holoreel. Upon attempting to turn this holoreel on, only a small part of the image remains visible, the rest distorted and the damage done to the holoreel. Upon closer inspection, the only phrase punchable face can be made out. After a few moments, the holoreel starts to produce an extremely irritating screeching sound. Clearly, it is corrupted beyond recovery. This is a reference. Ah. Yeah, I know, right? Hold on. LM Merca? Sure. Mikra? I'm going to stop butchering your name now. This is a reference to a EVE personality known as Manic Velocity, the most punchable face in New Eden. I don't think he put his ad on the billboard anymore. I really wish they did.
That's the joke. It's a badly corrupted holoreel because they played for so long, and they find, because remember when they stopped, they like set like just the glasses ad and
yes.
that, and it was nothing but that for like 2 years.
Right, and in fact now today, they still have that one where it says, you know, do you have clear vision? He doesn't, which is increasingly now an inside joke that the player base doesn't get. But you know, whatever. Thanks for the follow. Yarvaxia. Band of Brother access key. So the Band of Brothers was basically the powerhouse alliance at the time. They were the big focus of the Great War, which is the major focus of the Empires of Eve book. And the story is, of course, famously told in True Stories of EVE Online. 1 second. So they made a comic book about this story that tells the whole story about the, it's a stylized version of the story. But basically, one of the directors in Band of Brothers got caught as a spy on the Goonswarm side and offered to betray everybody because he didn't like the Band of Brothers, and ultimately, yes, Hargoth Agmar. And so he pulled the trigger, and Band of Brothers just didn't exist anymore. Biomechanical armor fragment. This is from the Doctor Who event. Black daggers. So the black daggers are important. I'm not going to read every single description right now, but for your guys' sake, if you want me to do that, let me know.
There's your Doctor Who lore intrusion, by the way.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the extent of it.
But yeah, we have these little doodads, these curiosities, which again I'm okay with because we brought it back. Anywho, so these black daggers are important because they're ceremonial within the Amar, and ever since the Flossiswind stuff and the Alar Chakade, like there is a series of assassinations. Alar Chakade was really, really big on threatening the 1,000 black daggers. And so there has been a rash of killings with the black daggers within the news within the last few years. And so I expect this to continue to be relevant in that sense. Blood-coated statue is a reference. This statue is coated in blood of a supplicant bloodied in the name of Bloody Omir and the Red God. This artifact of the Senesabek glistens wetly in dim light. Yeah, this is just Blood Raiders. Omir is the head of the Blood Raiders. Bouquet of flowers. This is just fluff. This was dropped in event. This is just added, I believe, just added to be a drop in certain event sites. Box of chocolates, same thing. This was added in, I believe, both, like some of these were added in originally for the Guardians Gala. Broken skill canister. This is a good story.
I really like that one.
So when they first were implementing the evergreen login rewards, right? The login rewards that happen all the time. The very first time that people completed the track, hold on. Like, you know, you get the item, but you also build up this bonus skill points, and you end up with 150,000 skill points, right? Well, everybody built up to it, and when it finally rolled over for the first time, people were given the skill points, like as in the item. They were given an item that was 150,000 skill points. It wasn't usable. It didn't do anything. They didn't get the skill points in their character. They just got...
It was literally an item with the skill canister icon.
Right. That was basically the backing item of that distribution. They got it as an item instead. So they had to fix that. And when they did, they still had the old item. And so this was actually the very first description that CCP Aurora... This was the first thing that CCP Aurora did when she first came in as a community manager, was deal with this situation and write this description, which from my remembrance, she's pretty proud of. So that's a fun story. Burn transneural scanner. This is
so that's what they changed it to. Like,
yes,
they weren't just going to leave it as skill points in your inventory. They had to make it something funny. So this is what they did.
Right. So everybody who had one of those skill canisters delivered to them, instead they had this. All right, burn transneural scanner. The transneural scanner is the device that is used to scan our brains to cause ourselves immortality. This is more just universe building. Capital parking ticket. Oh no, this is the one I was thinking about. I have no idea about the Grath Telkin thing. I don't know which one is I don't know what happened to Grath Telkin to cause the complaint now. I legitimately don't know, because the story that I told was actually this one. Now I got to find it again. Capital parking ticket. Oh my God. Issued by the Directive Enforcement Department. This penalty ticket was delivered to an unidentified... See, the story didn't jive in my brain. Because I was like, why would you get out of a carrier to go into a station. But it wasn't a carrier. It was a fucking Titan. So the guy got out of his Titan at the DED assembly plant in Nalnerfan and basically banked on the idea that no one would show up that happened to also have the ability to fly an Erebus. Rumor has it that the pilot in question was sighted on board a station's medical deck in the morning after a drunken late night visit to the station's pleasure hub, wondering how it would be humanly possible to have misplaced 2.4 million tons of Starship. I love it. All of these are Capsuleer Day crates, and these are reward crates. Cerebellum in a Container is a reference to Brain in a Box, which is a pretty significant effort that CCP underwent from like 2014 to 2016, I want to say, in which they basically separated out all of the attributes and stat calculations away from the primary simulation and put it in its own box, which is why they called it Brain in a Box. And that functionality is what allowed things like the command bursts that we have today to work. Grath might have gotten Bomber Bar and lost his shit over it. That sounds like something Grath would do. Kribba's modified strip miner. Kribba is, of course, a very famous Eve player, famous for being a miner, and famous for the Veldknot, which is his mining dread that he has in Amar, the system. Chronologically Curious Blue Diary. It's Doctor Who. Colonized board game. This board game produced by the Caldari Mega Corporation NOH. This is just more world building. I don't think that this relates. Like this doesn't it doesn't suggest anything or hint at anything. Concord Galnet Monitoring Archive. This archive segment of Concord Police annotated monitoring deals with close investigations into several cases in which worried citizens report Galnet chat fragments without watching for context. The three first files read, "How do I sell a hangar full of corpses? I just killed somebody for the first time. I'm so excited." And does anyone know if drug production is a good source of income? This is just making fun of, newbie help chat and the way that we talk about the game. And how in-universe people would interpret our communications as Capsuleers. Oh, it was Reddit? Usually when they talk about Galnet, they're talking about chat logs. But maybe. Fair enough. Concord speeding ticket. The speeding ticket was issued by the directive...
If you're talking about taking Eve's... So they're saying that was posted on Reddit that made it to r/all, but if you're taking Eve stuff out of context, it's... all bets are off, right?
Well, these are quotes.
Come up with anything, what?
These are quotes. So,
Right, I'm just saying, it's if you're talking about Eve and it's taken out of context, there is a very good chance that it's going to come off wrong. For instance,
that's fair.
Try telling someone about sisters probes.
There's a lot of I didn't mean it that way when talking about EVE Online, that's for sure. All right, this speeding ticket was issued by the DED to the pilot of a Charon-class freighter who is apparently detected traveling at 402,000 meters per second on approach to the perimeter Stargate in a market hub system of Jita. The angry handwritten response from the Capsuleer. Ooh. Solus.
He posted.
I know.
Reddit link.
Ask for permission. Here, I'll let you link it again. Hold on. Permit.
I've got it.
Okay. I don't know who did this, but Oh, it says this angry handwritten response to the Capsuleer is indecipherable, save for several expletives it would not be appropriate to mention here, and the mention of a Macario class battleship. So this is about somebody whose freighter got bumped. Concord Universal Translator. This is justification for why we can understand everybody. The pod actually translates all there's tons of different languages in EVE Online. But the pod translates it all for us. Concordankin, I mean, yeah. I don't know if I have to explain this one. Contraband Amari and Walnuts. I still strongly believe that this is a reference to the Hydrostatic podcast. This is a nod to the Hydrostatic podcast. So it is a fact that if you go look at the show info of a planetary customs office, it tells you that there's a series of things that are contraband within Amar, and the last thing that's mentioned is walnuts. So one time on the Hydrostatic podcast, Phyridian always had like a trivia thing that people would try for, and they could get a prize. And one of the big ones that he asked was, what common food is contraband in Amar? And then, nobody knew it. And then he said walnuts. It's one of those things that's like, it's right there. It's on every single planetary customs office, but like nobody ever thinks about it. And then they came out with this thing. So like I said, I think that this was nodding to that, but otherwise it's just a good one. Yeah, there we go. Excerpt from Amar Prime Customs Agency regulations. Commercial affairs, narcotic substances. Wait. Yeah, xenobiotics and walnuts. There it is.
The very end. It cut off the message, but after orage. But yeah, the last item listed is walnuts.
Cooking with Veldspar. Wasn't that actually a real guide that somebody made at some point? I want to say that was just the name of a guide that somebody made.
That's where it's from, by the way. You can look it up yourself.
The custom office. Yeah. Copy of the Galente Federation Constitution. Good world building. The 4 freedoms of thought, expression, association, and movement. I didn't even know that until last year. But during Federation Day, they really kind of zeroed in on it. It was also a question during the trivia game. So kind of interesting in that regard. Counterfeit Dominic's model, it's a potato. It's a potato. Actually paid for is quite literally a potato. It's a joke about how Dominic's look like potatoes. Crunch Fuel. I think that this is just a reference to like crunch development. Not sure. Then there's all the CSM electees archives. These are just who won, all the different CSMs. Damaged Agent Peg. So the Pope, Max Singularity the First, made a model of physics that was added into the Frigates of Eve that described a device known as the PEG, the Power Enhanced Generator, which is simultaneously the method by which our ships are powered and how we go into warp, and also how structures and other things are anchored in space without being affected by gravity. So
and if you put 1.81 gigawatts through it, it makes time travel possible.
I strongly recommend, if you're interested, to go on YouTube and look up Max Singularity's discussions of I think it's the physics of Eve. Data Sniffer is just another one of the Yule Lads. Deathglow Residue. Deathglow is an event thing. Deathglow is actually the chemical that becomes our accelerators, like chronodynamic triboxyls or whatever it is. Can be, here it is, chronodynamic tricarboxyls, which is what is used in our accelerators, can also make Deathglow. This was the stuff that was used by probably Blood Raiders to make the inhabitants of, or like the slaves uprise, which was kind of the beginning of the Alar Tracade plot back in 2016, I think, 17. Decommissioned Eric prototype. So there's a now famous April Fool's Day post that they made, in which they suggested that they were going to add a new Clippy-like helper agent, which was Eric. I can't remember what Eric stood for. But the other thing that they talked about was cat ears. This was where they suggested that they would come out with cat ears, and everybody got, well, a fair chunk, a certain population got upset because they certainly didn't take kindly to it being a joke. Like, they were like, wait, no, we unironically want that. Stop making a joke out of it.
The fact that you're joking about this means you're never doing it.
Right. Although I would like to remind everybody that Pokemon Go was originally a April Fool's Day joke.